Today we're diving into one of the most exciting and mysterious parts of the Hermes world, the 2025 a la carte, or also known as special order experience, because a lot has changed over the past couple of years, but this season brings some especially important updates. There is a new window for when you can place a request for your dream bag. There are some policy changes that will impact how many bags you're able to buy within 1 year, if you're also hoping to get your hands on an a la carte piece. And there are some letters that have been removed from the menu. Now, I also asked you for some of your biggest questions on Instagram that I will try to address as we go along, because I like to make sure that these videos touch on topics that you are genuinely interested in. So if you'd like to participate in future videos like this, make sure you follow me on Instagram too. But without further ado, if you'd like to find out everything that is new for 2025 when it comes to the special order experience that is not only highly coveted but also ultra exclusive, then make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and keep on watching. In case you have no idea what the special order experience entails or how to ask for a special order bag, I have several videos detailing every single thing that you need to know about the basics of the special order experience. I think I even have a video of me taking you to one of my appointments, which I did not end up placing a special order. In that video, I explain why that is. I can't remember if we went to the store together or if I filmed the video shortly after as I was getting home. Anyway, I will make sure to have it linked up here for you. I have several videos filled with tips and tricks when it comes to just thinking about the idea of getting a special order bag. Today, we're going to be focusing more on the logistics. But very long story short, in case you have no idea what an a la carte experience is, a la carte, special order, horseshoe stamp, these are all different terms for the exact same thing. It is essentially a highly exclusive experience that Hermes offers to some of their most valued clients, and it allows them to create their dream bag, basically to customize one of Hermes's most popular creations. And here it's very important to use the term customize and not just create a bespoke creation, because you cannot change certain details on a bag. You can choose the style of the bag, which of course most people will go for a Kelly or a Birkin or a Kelly pochette, which we'll move on to in just a second, because so many of you wanted to hear my thoughts on asking for a Kelly pochette as a special order bag, which is possible, by the way, but there is something that you need to know about the Kelly pochette that will make the experience slightly different. Anyway, so yes, you can order a Birkin, a Kelly pochette, a Constance, pretty much any Hermes bag from their currently existing lineup, even things like a 2424, a Kelly Depeche, even a Lindy, but of course most people will go for a quota bag. And you can choose the style of the bag, the size, the color for the exterior of the bag, the lining of the bag. You can choose the color of the stitching, the hardware, and then you can also adjust the shoulder strap, the length of the shoulder strap on some bags, but you cannot change the size of the bag. You cannot change, let's say, the length of the handle or how large the hardware is. If you wanted to make some more fundamental changes to a bag, that is something that could only be done through the Horizon project, which is a completely different story. If you thought that the a la carte experience was exclusive, the Horizon experience is something completely different, which we have talked about several times before. But if you would like to see a detailed video on that too, let me know in the comment section. I would be happy to do that for you. But that's basically everything you have to know about the special order experience. Those are all the basics. And when it comes to the colors of the bag, you cannot just pick any color from the world of Hermes. You have to choose from the seasonal or annual color menu. In the past, they released 2 color menus, but these days they will release 1 color menu for the entire year. And for 2025, the color menu is really not the most exciting, but you will of course always find your standard Hermes neutrals with a couple of seasonal color options. But when it comes to leathers, don't think that you can just choose any leather for any bag. There is another list that has to be cross-referenced because not every single bag and bag style is offered in every single leather. Not to mention that you can, for example, not just ask for a bag in exotic leather because each store has a set number of a la carte bags that they can allocate to some of their most valued clients, and they have even fewer bags in exotic. In fact, some stores don't even get an exotic a la carte option each and every single season. So it's something that you have to specially ask for, and it has gotten a lot more competitive considering that ostrich has been removed from the color menu. So in the past, you could ask for an a la carte bag in regular leathers, also in croc and alligator, in shiny or in matte finish, and then ostrich was also on the color menu, but ostrich was removed earlier this year, so that's no longer an option, and lizard has never been, or I don't want to say has never been, but as far as I can remember, lizard has not been on the color menu. So that's just something else for you to keep in mind. But while we are discussing croc and alligator, an important detail to point out here is that if you qualify or if you get offered an a la carte bag in exotic leather, in most cases they will let you know in advance that you can request a special order bag in exotic leather. When you look at the color menu, what you will notice is that croc and alligator, because Hermes uses not only one type of croc but several different types of croc, and then alligator is of course a completely different animal that costs a completely different price than other types of croc would. Each croc has their pros and their cons, and there is a different price associated with each exotic leather. So when you look at the color menu, what you'll notice is that alligator and croc are under the same umbrella. They are on the very same page. The only distinction is between matte and lisse finish. So if you choose a color, you have to specify what leather you want it in. Otherwise, Hermes will choose for you and they'll see what's available, which can make a big difference when it comes to how much the bag will cost you, so much so that the difference can be in the tens of thousands of dollars, not just in the hundreds or in the thousands. So if you are looking for a leather in a specific color, or vice versa, if you're looking for a very specific leather in a certain color, that's something that you have to request. In some cases, Hermes will be able to accommodate that. In others, they might not, depending on what they have available, but that's just something else for you to keep in mind if you're going to be asking for a bag in exotic leather. Now, the a la carte experience used to happen twice a year, once in the fall around October, and then once in the spring. It does vary slightly depending on how large your boutique is, because of course they don't want all the special order requests to come in at once. So they will try to stagger the special order experience between stores that are close by. But in the past, there were two very strict deadlines for the special order experience, whereas now there isn't a defined window. You can pretty much, a store can offer you a special order bag anytime within a year. However, that's not something that you need to be aware of, but it's good to know. A store cannot put in a request for a special order bag anytime they want with the head office. So they might be able to offer you one, let's say in July. They cannot actually submit that request in July. They have to wait until the special order system opens internally, which is usually in October and then in the spring again. So while they can offer you bags throughout the year, it's something that they cannot just put in an order for right away. And the reason it's important for you to keep in mind is because a special order bag takes about a year to be delivered. So if you get offered a special order bag in, let's say, July, you might be asked to give your boutique the specifications for your bag, and you think that you're placing that order in July. That order doesn't actually get sent to the Hermes head office, who deals with all these orders, until October, because Hermes does not have the capability to submit an order until their internal system is available. So that is just an important point for you to think about, because from that point on, once your own boutique has sent a request to the head office, that's when the 1 year waiting time begins, which in the past, it was a lot more ambiguous how long a special order bag took to be delivered. But these days, Hermes tries to commit to deliver a bag within 1 year. Now, some bags may arrive within a handful of months, others might take a year, but Hermes really tries their best to deliver bags within 1 year, as long as they are made of regular leather. And then when it comes to exotic leathers, the timeline you'll be given is usually about 2 years. Why is that? Because there are much fewer craftspeople who are allowed to craft bags from exotic leather, so there aren't that many bags that can be turned out in the same time, because there are fewer people who can work on them. And then when it comes to the overall experience, a big shift is that they've gone digital. So in the past, you would do everything on paper. You would choose leathers from the leather trunk, which each boutique had their own leather trunk that was updated seasonally with some of the new colors, and you could design your own bag on paper. Whereas now everything happens on an iPad, or almost everything, I should say, which is a detail that we'll come back to. But what's great about that is that you actually get a mock-up of the bag that you're designing. You can choose each and every single spec of the bag that will appear on the screen, so you'll have an idea for what you're actually ordering. However, I would still suggest that you ask for either the leather trunk for leather samples, or that you ask for SLGs or other pieces to be shown to you in the colors that you're choosing, just because as advanced as technology is getting, it's still not the same seeing a color and a leather in person. So that's just another point to keep in mind, but everything will happen digitally, meaning that you'll get a mock-up right in front of you as you're choosing the color of the bag, the color of the lining, the stitching, and even the hardware. And then you can get a screenshot of the mock-up, so you can put something on your vision board. And since everything is done digitally, it means that once this order has been submitted, it's also linked to your account. So your boutique actually gets status updates as time goes on. Once the request has been accepted, they'll get an update, then they'll get an update once the order is in preparation. And I believe they will also be notified once the bag has been shipped. And it's something that most boutiques around the world will be able to see and keep track of, because as you probably know at this point, most accounts are visible worldwide. They cannot see every single one of your purchases. However, they can see if you have a wish list. They can see if you have purchased any Birkins or Kellys in the past year, and then the special order request should also appear on your account. So it's a little bit more traceable for everyone's ease, although it might not be something that you're happy with if you try to get around the 2 quota bag policy. Speaking of which, how will the quota bag system be impacted if you choose to order a special order bag? It's something that a lot of you asked about. So in the past, you could get around getting more than 2 bags within 1 year by placing a request for a special order bag. However, that has changed, which I think is one of the biggest changes when it comes to the a la carte experience. At this point, Hermes is incredibly strict with how many bags they are willing to allocate to each client. Of course, there is an exception to the rule. If you're spending 6-7 figures a year, they might be slightly more lenient. However, I've been hearing things and I've been hearing rumors that they are getting more and more strict with even their VVV VIP clients, which I am not one of them. So I cannot tell you that firsthand, but I've been hearing from people that it's not nearly as easy as it used to be, and it used to be at the discretion of each boutique. But there is a lot more pressure from the head office on even individual boutiques about how many bags they can release and who they can release them to, just because Hermes has become such a big thing. So just something for you to keep in mind. But even if you are an extremely valued customer, which you are most likely if you are offered an a la carte bag, just keep in mind that you're allowed to get 2 bags within 1 year, which means that if you are waiting for an a la carte bag and your boutique sees it on your profile that that bag is on its way in, or they're expecting it to be coming in, you might not get offered any other bags. In fact, if you've already been allocated 2 bags within 1 year, 2 quota bags, it's likely that they'll make you wait to pick up your special order bag until the next year rolls around if it comes in within that period. So let's say you got a Birkin in March, then you got a Kelly, which is of course another quota bag, in September, and then in November your special order arrives. They might make you wait. Probably it's even possible that they won't even let you know, because at this point it is the stock manager who deals with all of their bag deliveries. So if they receive your special order bag in November, they may or may not tell you, but it's very likely that they will not let you pick it up until January, which was certainly not the case in the past. They are a lot more strict about that, but that's just something for you to keep in mind. And then if you're ordering something like a mini Kelly or a Kelly pochette, in the past that wouldn't really affect your wish list. You could still ask for whatever you want, but if you're waiting for, let's say, a mini Kelly, it's very unlikely that your store will give you just a regular offer for a mini Kelly, because they try to distribute the bags that they have available to other clients too. So in the past, it was very easy for someone to build a collection of mini Kellys. If they were not interested in any other bag, they could buy 2 mini Kellys within 1 year in 2 different colors, and maybe even get a third a la carte bag as a mini Kelly. But if your boutique knows that your a la carte bag is going to be a mini Kelly, it's very unlikely that they will allocate a regular offer to you in the same style, even in a different leather and a different color, just because of how competitive Hermes has become. Before we move on to your questions, let me just summarize some of the biggest changes. So first and foremost, everything will be done digitally on an iPad. I would still suggest that you ask for the leather trunk or to be shown examples in real life, just so you get a real idea and a feel for what you're ordering, but everything will be done on an iPad with a mock-up, which you can ask screenshots of that can be emailed to you or airdropped, depending on what you prefer. And then once the request has been submitted to Hermes, it is actually linked to your account. Just keep in mind that there is no longer a really strict defined window for when special orders can be placed. But if you request a special order in July, it's possible that your boutique will actually have to wait until October or spring, depending on what's closer, to forward your wish or your request for this bag to the relevant departments so they can start working on it. Now Hermes promises to deliver bags within a year as long as they are made of regular leather, and then exotic bags should be delivered within a couple of years. Exotic bags are still incredibly hard to get because most boutiques don't get a lot of them allocated. Let's say, for argument's sake, that they get, 20 special order bags, of which one, if any, will be exotic, maybe 1 or 2, depending on how well your boutique is performing and how big their exotic clientele is. But they really don't get a lot of them allocated. So that is another detail. And then last but not least, don't forget about how it's going to affect the quota bag policy. So if you've already been allocated 2 quota bags within a year, it's most likely that you will have to wait until the beginning of the next year to get your hands on your special order bag if you're waiting for it to be delivered. And depending on where you shop, some boutiques will also require you to pre-spend for your special order bag. I think this is most relevant in Asia. I have not heard that being the case in Europe, considering that the special order bag is for those clients who are already extremely established. They are valued clients. So this is essentially Hermes's thank you to them. So most boutiques will not require any additional pre-spend, but I've heard that in some instances boutiques will want you to spend a little bit more money before they are willing to release your special order bag. And one thing that has not changed is the fact that you're not required to pay a deposit, and special order bags are not any more expensive than a regular offer would be. But with that out of the way, let's move on to some of your questions that you send me on Instagram. Speaking of which, if you would like to participate in future videos like this, make sure that you follow me on Instagram. I know I have not been the most active over there, but I am trying my best to go back to posting and then also keep you posted on my stories. The reason I've not been really active on social media other than YouTube, of course, this is my favorite platform and I always try to be consistent on here, is because I have really cut back on how much social media I consume just because I have so much on my plate. Something had to give, and for me scrolling was a very, I don't want to say that it was an easy thing to cut out, but it was the thing that I feel like I lost the least with cutting out scrolling. And because I no longer reach for my phone that often to just spend time on social media, it doesn't occur to me naturally to also post on my stories or take pictures for Instagram. But I love still creating content for Instagram too, so I do want to go back to it, but I have to figure out how to do that. Anyway, let's move on to some of your questions. I'm thinking about doing a Kelly pochette. What do you think? So hard to get. Indeed, Kelly pochettes have become virtually impossible to get your hands on as a regular customer. And the reason is because of profiles being linked. The fact that now all your bag purchases are visible worldwide means that people who in the past got around the quota bag system by having a different profile in different countries can only really ask for non-quota bags, so a Kelly pochette, because that's not something that their home store will be able to see. So if you're traveling and you want to get your hands on a popular exclusive bag, it's easier to ask for a Kelly pochette because it's not something that will be visible to your home store upon your return, whereas a Birkin or a Kelly would show up on your profile. And a lot of these customers are either big spenders or resellers. So yeah, it has become quite competitive. You can definitely ask for a Kelly pochette. In fact, I would encourage you to do so because I do love my Kelly pochette. I did a video discussing and actually ranking my Hermes collection, which I can make sure to link up here for you. And one of my Holy Grail bags was one of my Kelly pochettes. I think it is an incredible creation, regardless of how sought after it is. I just appreciate it for what it is. The one difference between asking for a Kelly pochette and most other bags is that ordering a Kelly pochette will not actually be on an iPad. Instead, you'll have to do it old school and it will have to be submitted on paper because Kelly pochettes, at least last time I asked, have not been integrated into the digital iPad system, so you will not actually get a mock-up. If that has changed since I last asked, let me know in the comment section. But last time I asked, I was told that yes, Kelly pochettes are still very much included in the a la carte experience, but it's something that has to be done on paper rather than on the iPad. So that is just something for you to keep in mind. Speaking of the Kelly pochette, one of my lovely followers asked, I got a Kelly pochette and a mini Kelly cloté already this year. Congrats, these are two incredible bags. But my essay introed me to the store manager and said that it's important I meet him and get to know other people in the store. Last year, I had told her I want a special order. Do you think I might get one this year? Yes, I think it is very possible for you to place a request for a special order bag, especially if your sales associate has been pushing for you. I mean, I would assume that you are an extremely valued client if you've already been allocated not only a Kelly pochette, but also a mini Kelly cloté, which is an exceptional bag. So I definitely don't see why you couldn't place a request for a special order bag, but it's possible that you might not get offered another quota bag until your special order arrives, most likely early next year. You couldn't pick up a special order bag this year, so had you placed an order last year, you couldn't buy one now. But if you're placing an order for one in October or November, I don't see why you couldn't get it next year. So many questions about people wanting to order a Kelly pochette as a special order and whether or not I think it's a great idea. I think it's a wonderful idea because it is just an incredible bag, and it's such a shame that most customers are not able to get their hands on one because of the Hermes game. I just did mine, a mini Kelly in Chèvre, Rouge Ache, and Vert Cricket. So that probably means that you ordered, looking at it, I assume you ordered a multicolor bag, because when it comes to the different styles, that's something that we haven't talked about. Maybe I'll end today's video on this. You cannot just order a plain old Birkin. Not that there's anything wrong with that. One of my biggest tips for you, if you are a novice to the world of special orders, is not to go too crazy. Just because you can order whatever you want and you can go wild doesn't mean that you should. If it's not within your personality, if it's not your style to go for something overly colorful, then why would you? I mean, if you're really looking for something incredibly out there, over the top, this is really your chance to do that. But if you're not the kind of person who would actually carry out a bag that's made of different colors, then I don't see the point of doing that. At least that is my opinion. Just because you can go crazy doesn't mean you should. That would be my biggest tip for you, and do with that what you wish. But you cannot just order a plain old Birkin. If you would like to get a bag in a single color, which I believe they call a line model, meaning that it's something that already exists in the Hermes lineup, there is going to be one detail that you have to change, and that's going to be the stitching. So if you order a bag in one solid color with the matching lining, you will at least have to change the color for the stitching. So let's say you can order a black Birkin with black lining, but you will have to make the stitching either contrast, so white, or you'll have to make the stitching purple or pink or any other color except the one that the bag is made of. Of course, you can also play around with the hardware and the leather and the size, but that's a line model. Then you can do a verso bag, which means that you can have one solid color on the outside. You can even keep the same stitching color, but the lining is going to be a different color, which is what I would suggest. I wouldn't suggest ordering a line model with contrast stitching. Rather go for a verso where you can keep the color on the outside solid, you can keep the stitching the same color, but you can go crazy with the lining. I love the combination of black and red, or black and blue, gold and yellow, gold and orange. And here when I'm talking about gold, I'm referring to Hermes's neutral shade of gold, but that's personally my favorite option from the a la carte menu. And then last but not least, you of course have the multi-color option, where you can choose, I think, 3 colors in total, where you can have 2 colors on the outside, and then the third color is going to be the color for the lining, which should in theory match the main exterior color. And then you have the option to also play around with the stitching. In the past, you could even create rainbow bags where each and every single part of the bag was a different color, but now they restrict you to choosing 2 colors so you don't go too crazy. And believe it or not, Hermes can actually cancel your order if they don't deem your color choice aesthetically pleasing. It doesn't happen too often, but in theory, the reason they don't ask for a deposit is because they want to have the final say in whether or not they will actually grant your wish and bring your vision to life. So that is just something for you to keep in mind. But a multicolor model is indeed quite special. But I think this is everything I had to say about the special order experience for 2025. If you are placing an order this year, let us know in the comment section if there are any other questions you have or any other tips you'd like to share with others. The comment section is, of course, always open for you. And if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more from me, then be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I really appreciate you being here and watching, and I cannot wait to see you back here or over on Instagram really, really soon.